up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate you guys' support in getting us this far. Now, today we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Dre from D.O.C. Thank you for coming through, sir.
What up? Super S, I'm here.
Yes,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So much to talk about with D.O.C. And one of the interesting things that I've always been so intrigued when this happens in history is that how winners of contests don't always end up being the stars. So if I remember correctly, at your HBCU, Virginia State, you guys didn't win the contest that EPMD was at. That is correct, right?
Correct.
So what, when you don't win before you end up talking to them, what's going through your mind? Like, were you like, oh man, this is over? Did you like, what happened?
Definitely, this is over. EPMD's over. Once we catch them outside, everybody in the club is over. You know what I'm saying? The jig was up. But yeah, it was our first introduction to politics, I would say, in the music, quote unquote, music industry, because we technically won the contest. You know, it was a ratings by the judges, 10, you know, one of those after you perform. So we got all 10s across the board. It was Eric Parrish and their road manager, D. Wade at the time. They gave us all 10s, and another group right after us went on. They got 10, and drum roll, 9. We knew we won. We could do math, right? So boom. But Parrish, as I tell the story, as the host, was about to say, well, you know, he was literally, well, guys, it's been fun tonight. I think we all know who won this. You know, it was one of those. And Parrish reached over, tapped him on the back, and he turned around and he leaned in, and Parrish said what he said to him in his ear, and he said, are you sure? And I have a terrible memory, but this kind of sticks out to me. So he's like, are you sure? And Parrish was like, yes, I'm sure. And then it was straight out of the movie. And then the guy was like, and the winners are, and he named the other guys, and there was a moment of silence in the crowd because everyone just knew these guys, meaning me and Scoop, we obviously won this thing. And before the crowd could even react, the other two guys jumped up on stage. They had about 30 people with them. So they were making all the noise, celebrating. And we only were like 5 deep. So we weren't from Richmond. That wasn't our town. So we just went, you know, with us. And we were just huddling amongst ourselves in the middle of, this is some bullshit. This is some, you know, we were in that, and this is some bullshit. And all of a sudden, you know, Parrish came across the stage and basically leaned over in the middle of us. We looked, and he was like, hey man, what do you guys want? A record deal? Or he said, do you guys want $100? Because that was the prize for the contest. He was like, what do you guys want? $100 or a record deal? And I swear in unison, we were like, a record deal. And he was like, meet me backstage in 5 minutes. So it went from tragedy to, you know, to Ben Glorious.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the key.
Sissies. You know it.
Okay. So then prior to that, as you guys, what made you and Scoob work so well, be friends? Like, how did that happen?
Just you know, when you're at school, when you go away to college, and you know, there's all these different people from California, from Arizona, from Texas. You're kind of gonna gravitate towards people that are from your region, you know. So New Yorkers, hey, you're from New York, or Jerseyites, you know. So he's from Brooklyn, I'm from Jersey. So it was kind of one of those things. And then when you find out he's into music, I'm into music, you know, you click even more. So, you know, the Geek Squad is over here, the Killers are over here, the guys who don't go to class over here, the music guys over here, the Army guys are over here, you know, the pretty girls over there, the AKAs over there, the Deltas, you know, it's one of those, it's clicky. So once I figured out he was into music, he was more ahead of music than me, meaning he had done little demos, and he had, shit like that. So for me, I was more or less still in my notebook with it.
Okay.
And yeah, so once I saw he was more advanced than me, he was playing me stuff that he recorded on his cassette back in Brooklyn and shit, and he could record in his room, we were off to the races,
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
always
the music brought us, together like that.
yeah, it's always funny that there's people in college that are known for not going to class, even though that's allegedly the purpose.
Right.
I
Right.
always think that's hilarious.
Yeah,
Well,
we fell into that boat too.
yeah. Well, so I know eventually you dropped out. Did that happen like that day when Parrish was like, we're gonna sign you, or was that a little bit down the road?
No, we met up with EPMD in February because we you have that winter break in December, January, then you go back to school in February. So we did the rap contest. It was freezing in Richmond. So we met in February, and basically once we met him backstage, he basically told us, if you could give me 9 more songs like this one, which was the one we performed that night, which happened to be Clap Your Hands from the album.
Oh, wow.
He said, if you could give me 9 more like this, I could get you guys a record deal. So from February to when school lets out in May, June, we were solely focused on going from Virginia to Brooklyn, because that's where the guys' Solid Scheme were. And one of them was in school as well. Derek, he was going to Morgan, but shortly before that, he had dropped out. Chris was still in Brooklyn. He had dropped out. So we were all just 20-year-olds just trying to figure it out. So it took us from February to the end of school, which was in May. And in between that time, we would, like I said, go up and down from Brooklyn recording. And in between that, we would try and coordinate with Parrish to meet him in Queens or somewhere to give him the demo of what we did that trip up.
Okay. So I think the Solid Scheme is obviously a very integral part of D.O.C EFX, especially early on. So how did you guys end up meeting with Chris and Derek?
Well, those are Scoob's boys, they're from Brooklyn. So he had his own little crew. And I was just introduced to the crew. Once Scoob and I met, and he was, you got to understand, Scoob was sounding like he should have been on the radio already. His rhymes were tight. He had that special ed. And, guys from Brooklyn, they kind of sound, a certain way, I don't know if it's in the water. I don't know if it's because they hear each other. It's, it's a neighborhood thing, but he sounded real put together. So I think Scoob was running through a lot of MCs. And then once him and I clicked up, because I was a student of MC, and I come from the Big Daddy Kane school, and the story's well known like that. He's one of my favorites. So I was in special ed, and all these guys that were MCing, I was just like this, like, So I would kind of formulate my stuff. So I think when Scoob heard me, he was like, oh, this guy sounds pretty good. And then we kind of went from there. And then that's when he was like, yo, I got my crew back in Brooklyn. They do beats, we can on the weekends, or let's do it. Let's try it.
Okay. And it's interesting that Clap Your Hands was the song for the contest, because I know on Dead Serious, you guys labeled as producers, and it also has a very different sound, I would say.
Go ahead.
Because it has to me, I always remember by the time we get to it, which is toward the end of Dead Serious, I noticed the mix and everything seemed crisper, and it had a different sound and a different feel. Did you guys, when you went back and listened to the album, or while you were making Dead Serious, did you notice the stark disparity between?
Yeah, we definitely did. And that album is a journey. It's a journey of us not, first of all, Clap Your Hands is, Scoob and I had been we met freshman year. So we started recording freshman year. Songs were, I don't want to say bad, but we're developing our sound, so we're like, this song sucks. This one maybe we'll keep. So by the time we got to juniors, we were making terrible music. So we had a conscious decision of, yo, let's just give it a break. Let's just try and, and we went home for the college, for the summer break, winter break. And Clap Your Hands is the first song we made off of taking a hiatus from making music. So once we and that beat is done by a guy named Dex. That was through their Brooklyn Connect. He's from Brooklyn.
Okay.
So the point I'm making is, by the time I mean, there's no budget, you know, we just did Clap Your Hands in Dex's crib. Sounds good. Let's go. You know, we're just concerned about, is it a good song? Not the quality, not the nothing. Is it a good song? So by the time you hear Straight from the Sewer, we pretty much have the deal. You know, we're working in a better studio, as opposed to when you hear Clap Your Hands and They Want Effects. Those are done in a closet, you know, and literally someone told us They Want Effects, because we were kind of shopping songs around and letting people hear it. And someone was like, yeah, this song, They Want Effects sounds like it was done in a closet. And we kind of giggled because we're like, yeah, it was, you know.
Right.
But so what happens is, the magic is, once you cut a record, it's you know, the magic. So if we were gonna go back and to try and cut those vocals to Clap Your Hands 6-7 months later, never would have happened. Right. Same with the beat. If we needed Dex to redo the beat, never would have happened. So, you know, with the engineers that we met, Charlie Murata, those guys were, I call them just geniuses, because Charlie actually, when it came time to mix and master They Want Effects, we couldn't find the reel, it was lost. So the one you hear on the album is mastered and mixed from a cassette tape.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was like that, you know, it was a journey. You know, you're young, you don't know what's gonna make the album. You got 30 songs laying around. You like this one? I'm not sure. Play it for the label. I guess they like Paris. Eric, do you guys, you know, so by the time the album was together, some songs were done in this kind of demo phase, and the other half was done in this big studio phase.
Okay. So with They Want Effects, with Dexter James also producing on that one?
No, Dex was only Clap Your Hands, and a guy by the name of Marcus, and I can't remember his homeboy's name. They did They Want Effects. The story goes, basically, once we got, and Marcus went to Virginia State with us.
Okay.
So the story goes, there was 1 or 2 people in the club from State when we got discovered by EPMD, and they beat us back to campus and was like, you don't understand what just happened at the club. EPMD, I think they're gonna sign Dre and Scoob. So there was a buzz around campus, you know, and we were letting people know, yeah, it looks like something's gonna happen. And by the way, we need beats. So Marcus was one of these beat guys on campus, gave us a beat CD, a beat tape. It had the loop of They Want Effects on it. And but it wasn't arranged a certain way. It wasn't no drum roll in the beginning. If you hear They Want Effects, bum stickity bum is written over a drum roll. I added the drum roll, not manually, but we went back, listened to the record, found the samples, like, oh man. So unfortunately though, why Marcus' name doesn't appear, it just appears D.O.C Effects, is early when Paris heard the demo, who did the beat, he wanted to lock certain songs down. You know, they have the ear, they kind of know what's going to be, you know, we're just making songs. So he heard They Want Effects, one of our guys at Virginia State, they struck the deal. He's gone. He's out the mix. The song just basically sits 6, 7, 8 months later, when it's time to go back and really do this or do that. It was either, you know, we couldn't find Marcus. It was, you know, one of those things. It's in our hands now. We kind of rearranged the beat anyway, hence produced by D.O.C Effects.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm always intrigued when this happens, but the main sample, the driving force of the record, Lord Finesse had used on Funky Technician. So do you guys have no apprehension? Did you care? Did you know the Funky Technician? Did you like that song? Did it matter? Like, what did that factor in at all?
For me personally, I'm gonna say I did not even remember Funky Technician. Scoob he has an elephant memory. He might be like, what? Remember we sat and talked about it? So I'm that bad, you know, but me here off the head, I don't recall And I'm gonna say one of two reasons is probably why. We were in Virginia, and what happened that during those times, once you left the tri-state area, you were out of touch. It's like you were on Mars. It's not like you could turn the radio on and you're hearing what they're playing, you know, back in New York. So we weren't up on all the latest stuff like that. So we weren't like, oh, this beat is, oh, they just used that beat, or you know. So it was one of those things where it just came around, and eventually like, oh, Lord Finesse used it. You know, it wasn't a Lord Finesse used it, let's use it, you know? It wasn't that.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Best with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.